their reunion. Having fully surrendered, they enter the flow of synchronistic and predestined events, finding themselves increasingly empowered and guided by a higher power. This is a magical path from surrender into illumination, where many lessons are finally understood, where insights and events bring about validation and awareness, and where the twins align with the vibration of the twin flame sacred heart and consciousness. Since I wrote about the positive direction my own twin flame union has recently taken, many automatically assume that the shift happened because my twin had finally got it. Unfortunately, this perception that our twin flame is somehow the culprit to our reunion not happening is both misleading and counterproductive. Rather, what enabled the shift was both of us consciously seeking to take full accountability for ourselves, as well as our part in bringing about balance within our connection. Personally, I came into realization about who I am, about how I perceive and create my own reality, and then consciously sought to align these with the know what you know of my heart. Here is my story of the events and realizations which catalyzed these changes. You are responsible for giving yourself the love that you need. Almost a decade ago, I spent 18 months trying to build a relationship with my twin and failing at it. I grew increasingly frustrated at his contradictions and not knowing which foot to dance on with him. While he insisted on how much our close friendship meant to him, he kept pushing me away using my supposed expectations as an excuse. In the end, the emotional price simply became too much to pay, and so I jumped at a chance to marry and build a life with someone else. This life, while not fully reflecting who I was inside, provided me with a respite and a temporary escape from the connection, and more importantly, gave me the family I had always wanted. Not realizing it at the time, I acted in perfect reflection to my twin, who at the time reverted to his safe marriage where he was not able to be his full authentic self, but which did not come with the intense fire brought on by the mirror of his soul, me. It wasn't until crisis after crisis started to appear in my life at a fast succession now nearly 2 years ago that I became aware of all the time that had passed. I knew in no uncertain terms this was my wake-up call from the universe. After 6 months of personal hell, I ended up critically ill in hospital. On that very day, my twin flame sent me a letter telling me about a positive image, reflection and energy of me which he carries within him wherever he goes. It was the first time in 8 years he mentioned our connection, and the first I'd heard from him in over 18 months. However, as I lay in hospital ravaged by a potentially deadly infection and recovering from major surgery, he was the last thing on my mind. I simply felt numb and I knew things had to change. During my slow recovery I could hardly muster the energy to do anything other than the bare minimum to look after my job and children. Underneath it all, I just wanted to find myself again. Inspired by one of Teal Swan's videos, I started doing only things that a self-loving person would do. I would ask myself, what would a person with self-love do? And go by that. As I made loving choices for myself, I began to feel my whole and complete self being activated and my soul began to feel free. I finally understood that it was my responsibility to give myself all the love that I needed. I could not expect anyone to fully love me if I did not first fully love myself. As I started to love and recognize myself more, I moved from making small positive changes to making bigger changes to create a more balanced, loving life for myself and my children. Eventually I made the decision to leave my marriage as I finally had enough self-love to recognize all the ways in which it did not serve my highest good. Happiness. You are already whole and at one with your twin flame. It didn't take me long to notice that the more I did things that I loved and that brought out the real me, the more I was feeling my twin as part of me. Always present when I was present. It was more than just a lingering static memory of him. It was his actual loving, reassuring presence and energy completely entwined and interacting with mine. The more I became my true self, the more I was moving into closeness with him, and with God. This led me to the deep realization that the disconnection from him all those years ago had actually led to a disconnection from myself. This was the first of many aha moments to come. It hit me that this reflection, this part of him that I carry within me, will never cease to be magnetized by the whole that is him because it is part of him. And I will never cease to long and ache for the part of me that he carries with him, because such is the divine rule, that all that which has been separated from God must return to him. I knew now that I would never return to the way I was before I knew him, since this connection would always be there. It is forever. I understood that to find peace and wholeness within myself I needed to accept who he is to me. The choice was mine, to accept and deal with it, or to live a life of pain exiled from my own wholeness. I realized that the twin flame reunion is an inside job. Undeniably, since we are part of each other, to gain balance within our greater one soul, we must first gain balance within. It is only by creating harmony within that we can bring about harmony without. As I remembered the words in his recent email, I wondered whether he was feeling this same oneness with me that I was now recognizing within myself. We hope this channel has helped you discover where to start on your actual path. It's a good karma to put a like, subscribe and share. Leave your suggestion in the field below. With all the love to you.